Matt.
Jessica.
What is your favorite place to eat in the Perry District?
The Lantern.
Nice. Welcome back, Spokane, to another episode of EvoReal Talks. I am your host, Jessica Side, and with me, as always, is my husband, Matthew Side. And today we are going to be talking about the Perry District. We've got all kinds of things that we're going to be talking about. We've got a house in the Perry District. We're going to talk about some history. We're going to talk about some restaurants. But we're excited to kind of have a Perry District episode. It's going to be
Perry District.
Great.
So I'm just curious. Like, you're the host, and you kind of wanted to say that I was the co-host.
I think
right?
I did actually. I thought I
but
actually
as
said it.
But as you were saying it, I think you're like, oh, that kind of makes it feel like you're in charge.
Right. But
maybe you are.
Maybe I am. Maybe I am.
Maybe nothing.
I wanted to ask you a question about how you're feeling about the snow. I know you're going to go cross-country skiing and going to be doing some downhill skiing here soon.
Yeah, 'tis the season. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I know that it feels like we had all that cold and all that snow, and then it's been melting. Today, as we're recording, it feels a little spring-like outside, but winter's not over.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not. There's snow in the forecast next week.
Okay, good.
So,
because it seems like some of the ski hills right now seem like they might be a little choppy, a little icy.
Probably. If they've got good groomers out there, they're churning it up. When I was talking to the guy at Rambling Raven, so we went to buy some, which, quick plug, Rambling Raven used outdoor equipment store up on Division in Bridgeport, I think it is.
Yeah, right about there.
And they, anyway, I was asking him about the snow because they had just been up to the cross-country ski hill on Mount Spokane. And he said they're doing a pretty good job with the groomers to kind of keep it reasonable.
Make it nice, yeah.
But his comment was, the reality is we're going to have snow way into spring up there because there was just so much of it.
Cool.
So,
that'll be great.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling too bad. I'm really excited about all of the sun we have right now as this new listing that we're talking about came on the market. Like I could not have picked a better weather pattern.
I thought you were going to say I could not have picked a better segue. Oh, look I have an earbud in my ear. I'm going to take that out. Okay, so give us your featured home, please.
Yeah, let's talk about this place. 1829 East 14th. So right in the Perry District. So Perry basically goes from 17th down to about, we'll say 8th or 9th, somewhere in there. So on 14th, you're walking distance from the shops and restaurants in Perry District. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, 922 square feet on the main floor. It is listed for $229,900.
That's a good deal.
It is a good deal. And it is, it's super cute. Totally,
it's been redone.
Redone it. Brand new carpet inside. Brand new flooring in the kitchen and the bathroom. Has original hardwoods in the main kind of
cool.
dining area in one of the bedrooms. It has a really open concept for an
old house.
Older house. Like this is an early 1900s kind of bungalow style home, and they're usually really chopped up. But this has living room, dining room, kitchen, all kind of open. And I mean there's some character to some of the archways between those, but they are still open. Again, we're going to talk about the Perry District, but just know about this home, it really is only a few blocks away from the restaurants that we're going to be talking about, a short walk to the park that I'm sure we're going to be talking about. So it's
pretty cool.
It's a great area.
Say the address one more time.
It is 1829 East 14th.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh, if you have any questions on it, you want to schedule a showing, get some information about that property, or depending on when you're listening to this, if that property is no longer available, properties in that area. One of my favorite parts of Spokane, honestly. Like just a place I would love to live. So reach out to us at 509-62 House.
Cool.
All right, Jessica, what do you got for us?
Well, actually, I want to go back to you because I want you to give us the numbers for Spokane. So we're going to just do quickly. We want to just talk about overall numbers, not a big long thing, but just our snapshot.
All right, yeah. So quick Spokane numbers. Currently, at this moment in time, 226 active listings on the MLS.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it is January, but still, that's a really small number. Active price range is between $125,000 and $3.3 million. Median active list price is $467,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Okay.
Pending listings 725. Sold in the last 6 months 4,579. It's pretty comparable to past numbers. The median sold price, list price to sold price, right? That's kind of irrelevant. $379,000, so almost $100,000 difference in median list right now and sold. But remember, that's sold over the last 6 months.
Right.
So as the market has moved up, your median price is not going to necessarily reflect today's actual value. We basically are averaging still around 732 sales per month, which means that we're at a 0.3 months worth of inventory right now. So extremely low. Just to give you some quick context, I pulled some numbers from I think the first week of February 21's show. There were 201 active listings, so fewer than we have right now, which is 0.27 months of inventory. So it was a smaller number. There were more pending listings, but the median active list price was $335,000. That's $132,000 less.
Wow.
So that's a big jump. Median sold price last year was $315,000. Sorry, I had to read that number there. So $315,000 last year.
Reading numbers is hard.
$379,000 this year.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the market has gone up?
Yeah. And it was fun because I had March 2020 numbers. There were 903 active listings in March of 2020.
Just 2 years ago.
Just 2 years ago. And a median sold price 2 years ago of $283,000. That is $100,000 jump in median sold price.
Wow, that's insane.
So there's Spokane's market numbers.
So we're gonna talk about Perry District numbers at the very end of this episode. So we'll take that same kind of criteria, but we're gonna just look at just a microcosm of the Perry District.
Of that, specific neighborhood.
Okay, so
educate me on Perry District.
Let's talk about the cute little Perry District. So Perry District is considered part of a larger neighborhood called the East Central neighborhood. Okay. And so, but today we're going to focus more on what it was originally named, which was the Grant Park Addition.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because that is the park that's there, right? Grant Park.
Yes. So the Perry District is, they think about it between like 17th and basically
the 5th, which is the freeway.
And then you kind of go over to the bluff on that side, which I don't even know exactly what that is. It again
kind of follows, well, 5th dead ends there, 6th dead ends there. It kind of arcs its way southeast.
Yes, exactly. So,
and it goes all the way over to Crestline.
Right.
Yeah. And then on the south side, it was 17th, you said. Well, it follows, correct me if I'm wrong, but it follows Southeast Boulevard on the west side, so it's kind of an angle there.
Yeah. Okay, so the Perry District is one of the first neighborhoods in Spokane. It was regularly, that's easy for me to say.
That's a tough one.
By the native population for all kinds of reasons. And this is kind of including the part that would be down below it, like north of it, down by the freeway. But Southeast Boulevard, which goes from Liberty Park, which is by the freeway, I-90, all the way up to 29th, was one of the first native trails that the pioneers turned into a road for settlers. So again, this is something we've learned over the last couple of years as we've done these deep dives, Indian Trail. There's a lot of roads in Spokane that are roads because
they were trails that were then turned into wagon trails that were eventually turned into roads.
Yep, they were eventually paved. Okay, so it was filled with residents. So once they established that area, it was filled with mainly Scandinavian and Italian descent, people of that descent. I have no idea why, and I'm fascinated, and I did a bunch of research, and I still didn't kind of get as much. So if you know anything, let me know. But you're going to see some of that heritage reflected in at least one of the buildings that we're going to talk about down there, one or two of the buildings. It was the home of 2 lumber yards, a butcher, a barber, a library, a bakery, a steam cleaner, and several grocers. So
when was this? Do you have a timeline?
Yeah,
like when it was?
I'm coming to that. Basically, what was happening is that there was a lot of commerce that was being developed down Sprague and Trent. Again, kind of
Just a little further north.
That is part of that east central neighborhood. And part of that is because it was so flat, right? You could go from all the way from downtown all the way out to Liberty Lake, right? You had railways and things like that went through that area. So that was really growing up as a very commercial spot. And so it just made a lot of sense that it was a logical place to expand housing. And so the acreage there was going for $5 an acre, and you could rent a home from between $5 and $10 a month. So
it's a little bit of inflation.
It's a little bit of inflation. So I think the park is going to help us with understanding kind of the establishment of that area. Obviously, it was established before this time, but the U.S. Grant Playground, which was the original name of Grant Park, U.S. Grant Playground, was established in 1908.
I assume named after Ulysses S. Grant?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's correct. Now, I will tell you guys I'm going to tell you this too. I did a lot of research just to get the information that I have here, and there were a lot of rabbit trails that I couldn't go down, but also just they were dead ends. Like I couldn't find the information. So it was a little bit, I wanted more information, but I don't have it all. So yes, I believe that is correct. So it is now called Grant Park, and it was built as a playfield, which was one of the recommendations of the Olmsted brothers. They really wanted you to not only have parks, but have playfields. They also recommended, hold on, this is a hard name, Stadacona Circle, which if you can picture Corbin Park is a park in Spokane that is kind of a round park. Stadacona Circle was built, and it was a round park with stuff around it. All right, now fast forward to...
Is that in Spokane, Stadacona Circle?
It's up there.
Okay.
I'll explain it a little bit more. Okay, so both of these were recommended by the Olmsted brothers, and they were both built. There was a U.S. Grant Playground and Stadacona Circle.
Okay.
And they were both parks. Not always kept up as well as they should be, which is interesting because there were people complaining back then about dandelions and weeds, and I was like, oh, we still have that problem. Okay, so you fast forward to the 1960s. They're putting in I-90, and they pretty much destroy Liberty Park by putting in I-90. Liberty Park used to be huge, and then the remnants of that, right, just went right down to the small park that it is now. So, but the federal government put that in, so they paid the city to put in I-90. They used that money then to expand Grant Park from 3 acres to 12 acres.
Oh, wow.
And what it did is it just ate up Stadacona Circle. So actually you can go see, I believe that it's the southeast part of the park. You'll see kind of it's rounded, and you've got, that is where it originally was. So that park has been merged with that. So, okay. Sorry, I was just I put a lot of this in my memory apparently because I wrote it down and I'm not looking at it. So there were a bunch of water issues, and it became like super swampy. They had like a nickname for it, like the Grant Swamp or something like that. And so in 1974, WSU, 4-H, Standard Oil, and the neighborhood residents came together, and they built a new playground equipment and kind of dealt with the swampiness of the park. All right, so that's the parks in the area.
Grant Park.
Grant Elementary has been operating since 1900. So here's where the establishment has to be the late 1800s. I just don't exactly know when they started building the buildings there. Of course, that original building is gone. Let's talk about a few of the churches in the area. So one of the oldest religious congregations in Spokane is Liberty Park Methodist Church, and it opened its doors in 1912, which is kind of an interesting and it's the same building, and it's been around that whole time. Another church in the area is Bethel Ame, and if you're not familiar with AME, that is African Methodist Episcopal. They were founded in Spokane in 1890.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a very long time ago. They built several different buildings around town. So they started in someone's home, and then they went to these smaller communities, and they finally built their final home in the Perry district in 1971.
Okay.
So, and this is so cool. In 1971, they built their church. You can go see it right now. And along with that, the church also built a 56-unit apartment building. And so, which I find amazing, because I love the fact that they were committed to that community.
Yeah.
To build housing for people as well that were in their community.
Wow.
Super
That's a
cool.
lot of units.
Yeah, it's a lot of units. Another church that's in the area, a non-traditional church, is the Spokane Buddhist Temple that's located in South Perry.
That's on Perry. That's like on the main drag.
Right
there.
on the main drag. So interesting. We went from like 1,000 people of Japanese descent down to like 393. And I'm not exactly sure what happened during that time, but then we saw the Japanese population increase after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, because there were, along the West Coast, there were all of these people that were getting sent to
the internment
camps. But Spokane was outside of the evacuation area, so it became a safe haven.
Interesting. So if they could move.
Right, yeah. So because of that, they formed a Buddhist, let's see.
The Buddhist temple there on Perry.
Well, they started officially around 1945, which again makes total sense. But they didn't get to their current location. They had some places near that area until 1965. There was an arson. They had to rebuild it. And again, contributing to their community, like I read something about how they have the farmers market inside during the winter. This could have been an old article, so I'm not sure if that's something they still do. But at some point, they were, housing that community event inside of the Buddhist temple. So there are some churches in the Perry district. All right, now a little mystery.
Oh,
are you ready for some mystery?
So we're going from history to mystery.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how mysterious this is, but
I feel like you've oversold it a little
I've
bit.
Oversold the
this
mystery.
This is the best movie ever.
So the South Perry Stairs. Do you know what those are? It's okay if you don't, because it's a mystery.
I mean, there's those stairs that go up to like Lincoln Heights area. I don't know the name of that park.
Okay, so, you're thinking of the Lincoln Park.
The Lincoln Park, because it's
right,
it's
has
a high level and a low level, and
yeah.
all those stairs.
Actually, maybe those are the same thing. Oh, that's funny now that you're saying that. Okay, so anyway.
Mystery solved.
There is no mention. Here's the reason why they're a mystery. There is no mention of these stairs in any newspapers or any documents. So no one knows when they were built. No one knows why they were built. And so, but they believe it's about the early 1900s. And they're tucked away. They are south of the intersection at 20th and Perry. So yeah, this is not the same one. 20th and Perry. And we had some friends who lived right next door to these a long time ago that lived right by the stairs. Okay, so the stairs connect the Perry district to the Rockwood neighborhood, more specifically like the Overbluff area. There are 63 stairs. They didn't even have a handrail until the 1980s. They're made out of all that, South Hill rock, like you see in a lot of places. So there are a couple of theories as to why they were built. The first theory comes from a resident of the Perry district that's been there for a very, very long time. He believed they were built so that the people that lived in the Rockwood Terrace Addition, which is what that was called, could come down to the streetcar that came to the Perry neighborhood.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does make sense. However,
oh boy, there's more mystery involved with this.
A historian in Spokane named Linda Yauman. She has a different take, and I actually think that she's probably right.
I don't know. That name doesn't sound like she knows what she's talking about.
Oh, brother. That's so ridiculous. I'm sorry, Linda. I'd really love to actually have you on this show, so just ignore my husband.
I'll be nice. She'll probably kick me off when you're on.
She believes that the stairs were not built for the Rockwood neighbors to go down because they had a streetcar that was built in 1908 on Rockwood Boulevard. Just a few blocks
come
away.
Down to the Perry one?
She believes that it was for the Perry District folks, and of course it wasn't called the Perry District at that time, to climb up because those homes were huge and they needed lots of employees. And
so that just was a way for people to get to work easier.
Yeah, so the working class neighborhood, which was right below them, ready, willing, and able workforce for them to employ. So
hustle your way up the stairs to work.
That's right. Now it's used for people and their calisthenics. You know what I mean? Like,
totally. Running this, it's like going to a stadium and running the stairs in a
Exactly.
stadium. We just have it in the Perry District.
One other building that I want to talk about before we kind of go into the restaurants and different things that we like, and those will be just kind of real short informational, but is the, hold on, let me get the name right. Camburn Dutch Shop Millwood Building. Actually, there were several buildings. Let me explain. These are on the National Register of Historic Places for their uniqueness. And and we're specifically talking about the one that's in the Perry District, is the Windmill Building.
Oh, okay.
You know that one,
yeah,
right?
Totally.
It looks like this little baby windmill. Okay, so it was designed as a retail shop. There were these two brothers, okay? And it was called, and one of them, Robert Camburn, that's the name, worked at a flour mill. The other, Cecil, worked at a bakery. And so they put their two loves together and they made this bakery and dairy line it's called Dutch Main Products. And it was in the mid-1920s. So they were doing all of these. It was like 150 varieties of pastries and dairy products and stuff. And they were pumping them out. It was going so well for them. And in 1924, they decided to make some retail windmill buildings. And the idea was that it was a retail shop with a visual advertisement, which is great. Just like the milk bottle, right?
Sure.
So they actually they were going to build 13. They built 9 of these buildings all over Spokane.
Really?
And they were super, super prosperous. Again, Dutch Main was the name of it. Dairy, bakery. Unfortunately, it failed during the Great Depression. And so by 1943, most of the structures had been sold and most of them were demolished. So there are, I guess, 3 remaining, and this is one of them. I didn't go into the research on the other 2. Yeah. I know one of them is like I believe a home in Brown's Edition or something. But anyway, so it is a historical building. It's now like a wellness herbal
one of the, like a
store kind of a place.
Yeah,
something like that. So anyway,
it might have like a salon and spa kind of combo. I think there's several things going on there.
I don't think that is. There is a salon and spa Roots salon and spa further down. Anyway,
we don't know what's in that
those are
building.
some of the many interesting places that have some historical significance in the Perry District. Let's talk a little bit about some of the restaurants and things that are in the Perry District.
So it is one of the highlights to this area, this neighborhood, is all of the stuff that's there. So restaurants, there are South Perry Pizza, a favorite.
Bing! I just want to how many places I've eaten. Bing!
South Perry Lantern, which
I haven't been to the new one.
Well, it was the Lantern, and then I think it
changed ownership,
and they were calling it South Perry Lantern. Wisconsin Burger.
I've eaten there.
Perry Street Brewing.
I've eaten there.
Which is a great both food and drink. Meeting House the Meeting House Café, which is just literally south of the listing on 14th. You've probably not been there. It's not on the main strip.
Okay.
It's like on 12th or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Just directly south. Like 3 blocks from that house.
Yeah.
The Shop, which is kind of
Bing.
coffee shop and bakery type stuff.
Yes.
The Grain Shed.
You know what? Surprisingly, I've had stuff from the Grain Shed, but I've never been there. Like, people have brought the Grain Shed to me, but I know it's super popular.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. They've got a bakery and a brewery.
Right.
And they're one building, but 2 different kind of entrances or whatever.
That's cool.
So they do a lot of, I've been there once. So those are the restaurants on that strip there. Wait, Casper Fry. I don't know why I don't have that on here.
Yeah. You're missing anything else?
I don't think so.
There's wonderful shops. There's also there is.
The Bike Hub is there, so there's a bike shop there. Wishing Tree Books is there, which you adore.
Yes. There's
some clothing stores there.
There's Title IX.
Yeah,
but there's
is that
also
all secondhand? That's new.
Title IX is new. It's got a.
But there are some secondhand stores there. There's a salon and a spa.
Roots. It's got Irish dance, and it's been there for a very long time, in a little Irish dance place. The shop has some cool history too, because the person who actually started the shop was of Scandinavian descent and started it a long time ago, obviously as a garage. They kept it. His grandson still lives in Spokane, the person who originally started it. I don't know exactly.
Liberty Park Florist is right there too, isn't it?
Yes.
Like the huge greenhouse.
Yes.
If you go a little further down. We didn't talk about the farmers market, but it is one of the best farmers markets in Spokane over the summer.
It's been voted like 5 years in a row, like the best.
They extended out into the park this year.
Mm-hmm. We had some friends who really, I have to tell this story because I think it's kind of cool. We had some friends who about 17 years ago, decided the Perry District was the up and coming place. And they bought a house, turned it into a restaurant, and it was called June Bugs. And it was a lovely little place.
I loved June Bugs.
And the crazy thing is that, especially when you think about all of the stuff that's there now, they could not get a liquor license. They couldn't sell wine as a thing. And it was a really difficult, because they were planning on being able to sell wine for dinner and stuff. But they eventually decided, we're not going to be in the business. But now everybody's got a liquor license on that street.
Well, it was literally next door to what is now Perry Street Brewing.
I know. But they were absolute pioneers. It's now a veterinary office, but it was a lovely restaurant, and they were kind of pioneers, understanding that place was going to be big.
Yeah, for sure.
Going to be really big. So
another thing too that I don't know that you think about or many people think about is the connection between the Perry District and the University District. As they built that bridge, that was part of the point of that bridge.
Yeah.
And again, you talked about how Sprague and Trent kind of is part of that neighborhood.
Yes.
The bridge from the University District, Gonzaga University, comes across over and drops right onto Sprague. And part of the purpose of that was to create connection to the Perry District, because that's such a desirable neighborhood for people, whether it's students or faculty, to be able to quickly get to work at the university or school. So
that's great. So what we're gonna finish up here, but we're gonna finish up with numbers about the Perry District. Now remember, Perry District is a very small little area, so these are going to be small little numbers, but I think they'll be interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, so there's just not much there. That's the thing, because it is so small, the market's so tight right now. There are literally 3 active listings in
and one of them is ours.
Perry District. One of them is the one that we just talked about. 35 homes have sold in the last 6 months.
Wow.
The median sold price in that area is $335,000. And then the median days on market are 4. So things move pretty quickly.
Yeah. Again, someday I'm gonna read this book that my brother keeps recommending to me about city planning and neighborhoods.
I'm partway through it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. But I guess the thing that you can understand why it's so popular is because it has that retail space so close to residential space. And so there's that community. They're not all going to Applebee's up on the hill or Target up on the hill or whatever, or someplace across town. They are able to do so many of the things. Barnes & Noble, they don't have to go to Barnes & Noble. They can go to their little Wishing Tree bookstore. That is such a desirable place. And if
it's a critical
city planners
part,
could
it's a critical part of Spokane or any city's evolution, I think, is to create that
downtown
commercial space,
right? A baby downtown
within a short walk or bike ride of where you live.
Yeah.
Why would you go? Of course, people are going to go downtown, which is also great proximity to downtown.
Sure.
But when you could just walk to the pub 5 or 6 blocks away, especially when the weather's nice and the park, some of the things in the park that I didn't really mention before, it's got sports fields, it's got tennis courts, it's got basketball courts, just a huge space. So, and
for those of you who are listening who live there or love the Perry District, I'm sure we're missing 1,000 things that we should be talking about, but that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about real estate or want to talk about the Perry District or school me on some history, give us a call at 509-62-HOUSE. You can also reach out to us at info@everreal.com. That's EvoReal, and all the social medias. We are trying to build up our following on Instagram. So if you, we're going to be running a contest here soon for some free lift tickets. So go over to our Instagram and follow us. We've got some fun stuff on there. All right. That's it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.